Hello everyone, welcome back. And today I'll be sharing with you my interview experience. This interview was conducted for the senior software engineering position and was conducted by PayU. So the interview started with the brief introduction of the interviewer. He was super friendly. He was like talking about how hectic the work culture is these days, and he was laughing and he was making some jokes around that. And he asked me how was my work, is it hectic or not? And after that, he asked me to introduce myself. Then I have prepared my introduction in such a way. See, I have broken down into three parts. First, I talk about my highest qualification. I talks about from where I have graduated and that kind of thing. And after that, I talk about the current work experience that I have and for which organization I am currently working in. And after that, I talks about what is the major contribution that I have made and what is the impact that contribution has. So this is how I have broken down my introduction, and this generally works well for me. And most of the time, interviewer asks the follow-up questions from this part, means the major contributions and the tech stack part. So in my current organization, I have used only NoSQL databases. So in my current organization, we use Couchbase for handling the writes and Elasticsearch for reading the data. So he was like, "Why aren't you using SQL databases?" Because PayU is currently using completely SQL databases. That's what he told me. So why is that the case with you? Like you are NoSQL, and he was like, "What are the disadvantages of using NoSQL databases, and how do you overcome that?" And how writes are scaled with NoSQL versus the SQL thing. And he gave me some scenarios like if you are designing a read heavy system, what kind of database will you go with? And he also in the end asked me what is the major challenge while using the SQL databases. So I think I have given almost all the answers and correctly. So he seems to be satisfied with that, but not completely. Somewhere he was like, okay, he was not agreeing, but I think the overall this part went fine. So after that, he was going through my resume and he particularly found this thing. So in my resume, I have written that I have designed a file upload microservice, like which is very cost efficient and it is different from like industry standards. So he asked me like, how have you seen in other places such file upload services being used? So I'll tell you, means how I have seen that. So suppose this is the front end. So what basically happens is when you upload the file, it first basically gets stored in the backend. Okay, this is stored in memory, and from the backend, it is like pushed to S3. I am assuming that you are using S3 because we are using S3. So this gives you acknowledgement back, and you send the acknowledgement back to the front end. What is the major disadvantage by using this approach? We are actually storing the entire file in our backend server. So this actually increases the CPU cost. So you can try it out. You could open the task manager and you could see that. So what differently I have done here is, so let's suppose this is the front end service. First, my backend service calls makes a call to the S3. So this S3 returns the pre-signed URL for the upload. Okay, and this pre-signed URL is written to the front end. And now when front end tries to upload the file, it is directly uploaded to the S3. So we are not bearing the cost for this. Who is bearing the cost? The S3 is bearing the cost. We are anyways paying for the storage, not the upload kind of thing. So this is actually very, very cost efficient. This actually reduces your AWS cost. So he seems to be very happy about this because I think this was new to him and he was fascinated by that. And he told me that he will be like reading more around this thing. And after that, we came to the problem solving part. So he gave me a DSA question, and this was the DSA question, like container with most water. It was not like this straightforward. He has given me one problem statement, and there was only one input and no output. But he was expecting me to first, like, give him the output, what I think is the correct one, and first explain him the entire solution approach, what is going in my mind, and after that, I could code that up. The coding takes place in one of his environment that was local to him. I exactly don't know. It was not like HackerRank or Google Doc. It was something else. So I'm not sure what was that, but it has one Java IDE in that. So I explained him this, and I was able to solve this pretty quickly. So, and he was also like satisfied with the solution, and he said that the solution was correct, and we can move on. So after that, the interview went in the domain specific questions, like what is the internal working of the hash map, and what is the difference between hash table, hash map, and concurrent hash map. So he was more focused on this thing. We spent nice amount of time over here. He also asked me to write some basic code, not the entire thing, but the general pseudo code around this, like how this will be working. And after that, he asked me about hash table, and where do we use hash table and where do we use hash map. And after that, he asked me like, have you ever heard of concurrent hash map? Then what is the difference between hash table and concurrent hash map? Where should we use those and such kind of thing. So after that, he asked me like, what is cyclic barrier? I have not heard this term until my interview. Never. And after that, he asked me about countdown latch. This was also the first time I was hearing that. Maybe I need to dig deep into Java, but yeah, I didn't hear that, and I just said that I don't know. Means I didn't read about this yet, so I'll definitely go and check it out after the interview. Means this is actually kind of a good answer when you don't know. Like you also show that you are willing to learn that. So yeah, this is what I did, and there was no follow-up question. So after that, he asked me like, what are the design patterns that you have used in your current organization? So I said that I have used factory, I have used singleton, and I have used decorator and strategy. So he asked me a bit about strategy design pattern and the factory design pattern, and he asked me like, can you code the singleton design pattern? So I told yes. So then he again opened his ID, and I just coded the singleton design pattern. But I think I was pretty smart about it because I haven't coded the thread safe pattern at first. I actually coded the eager initialization first. So there was some follow-up questions like, is it thread safe, or is this completely robust? What can break this particular design pattern? So I told him that this was not thread safe, and but this can be used when we are working in the single threaded environment and such kind of a thing. Yeah, he seems to be satisfied with that. But after that, he told me, what if we are in a multi-threaded environment, and what changes can we do in this so that it could be like thread safe. So for this, this is a model like Buildbug model. So I have coded this one, and after that he told me like why this is thread safe, because this basically use the static inner class to the follow-up questions were around like why this is thread safe, because you have not used any synchronized keyword. Why do you think that no two threads can access the resource at the same time, and how can you guarantee such kind of a thing? And after that, there were some questions around multi-threading, like what is the difference between wake and sleep, and simple questions like basic questions around that. And yeah, after that we concluded the interview, and in the end he asked me like, do you have any questions for me? So this is actually a difficult part for me. Like, I am sometimes blank, or in some interviews, I have asked the questions which should not be asked, and potentially resulted in my failure for that interview. So, like, the general idea is that you asked about his tech stack and the scale of the company or the scale of the product that he is working on, and how do you like, if if he tells you that he use NoSQL databases or SQL databases, the general questions like, how do you scale, how do you manage heavy traffic, and such kind of a thing. And after that, it's nice to ask like, will I be joining your team or not, or what is the impact that you will be having within like few months of joining, and do you have any advice for me, like what to learn, what should I come prepared with? So such kind of a questions are good to, means you should know this kind of a questions, and you cannot always remember all these things, but whatever comes to your mind you should ask that. So you should not tell like, I don't have any questions, because that's actually a very bad impression. So basically ask these questions that I have told you, and I think you will be good. This is it for the video, and I hope you picked a thing or two from it. And please consider subscribing, and please give it a like. It really helps the channel a lot. Thank you so much.